In this video, we will be solving a few equations by factorization. I will only be solving a few questions from each part. You can do the rest of the questions on your own time, and solutions will be given at the end of the video. Let's do the second question. We have x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. We can solve this by splitting the middle term. Here the product should be minus 2. And the sum is minus 1, which is a coefficient of x. The factors of minus 2 are 1 and minus 2. And we have minus 1 and 2. We need a negative sign over here since our sum is minus 1. We can take these two factors as minus 2 plus 1 gives us minus 1. So we have x squared minus 2x plus x minus 2 equals 0. We can take common factors out. So we take x outside for the first two terms and we have x minus 2 plus 1 times x minus 2 equals 0. And we can finally write it as x plus 1 times x minus 2 equals 0. We can equate each of the terms or each of the factors to 0 to get the roots. So we have x plus 1 equals 0 and x minus 2 equals 0. So we have x equals minus 1 by subtracting 1 from both sides. And we have x equals 2 by adding 2 to both sides. So that's x equals minus 1 and x equals 2 are the two factors for the following question. Next, let's do question 4. We have x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0. Over here, the product is 2 and the sum is 3. The factors of 2 are 1 and 2. And that gives us, by adding these two, we get 3. So we can split the middle term as so. We have 2x plus x plus 2 equals 0. We can take common factors out. So that's x times x plus 2 plus 1 times x plus 2 equals 0. We have x plus 1 times x plus 2 equals 0. We can equate each of the factors to 0 to get the roots. So we have x plus 1 equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0. That gives us x equals minus 1 by subtracting 1 from both sides, and x equals minus 2 by subtracting 2 from both sides. Next, let's do question 6. We have x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. For this question, we have the product equals 12 and the sum should equal minus 7. Let's see what the factors of 12 are. We have 1 and 12. And we have 2 and 6. We have 3 and 4. Over here, 3 and 4 give us 7, and we need a minus sign. So we can write the sum as minus 3 minus 4 equals minus 7. And minus 3 times minus 4 gives us 12. So we can write that, we can split the middle term as so. We have x times x minus 3 minus 4 times x minus 3 equals 0. So that's x minus 4 times x minus 3 equals 0. We can equate each of the factors to 0 to get the roots. So that's x minus 4 equals 0 and x minus 3 equals 0. We can add 4 to both sides and we get x equals 4. We can add 3 to both sides and we get x equals 3, which is the answer. Next, we have question 8. We have x squared minus 1 equals 0. For this, we can do it two ways. One is to add 1 to both sides, so we get x squared minus 1 plus 1 equals 1, and that gives us x squared equals 1, and we can take the square root of both sides, so we get x squared x equals plus or minus 1. Or we can use the formula a squared minus b squared equals a plus b times a minus b, and we have a is x and b is 1, so we can write it as x plus 1 times x minus 1, and that equals 0 according to the question. We can equate each of the factors to 0, and we have x plus 1 equals 0 and x minus 1 equals 0. That gives us x equals minus 1 and x equals 1, which is the answer. Next, let's do question 10. We have x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. Over here, the product is 1, and the sum is 2. The factors of 1 are 1 and 1 plus 1 gives us 2. So we can split the middle term as x squared plus x plus 1 equals 0. Take the common factors out. We have x times x plus 1 times x plus 1 equals 0, which gives us x plus 1 times x plus 1 equals 0. We can equate each of the factors to 0. We have x plus 1 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. That gives us x equals minus 1 and x equals minus 1. Next, let's do question 12. We have 2x squared plus 2x equals 0. We can take 2x as a common factor, and we have x plus 1 equals 0. We can equate each of the factors to 0, and we get 2x equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. Over here, we can divide the whole equation by 2, and we get x equals 0. Over here, we can subtract 1 from both sides, and we get x equals minus 1. Next, let's do question 15. We have 2x squared minus 5x plus 2 equals 0. Over here, the product is 4. So that's 2 times 2. And the sum is minus 5. The factors of 4 are 1 and 4 and 2. 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. On the negative side, we have minus 1 and minus 4. So minus 1 times minus 4 gives us 4. And minus 2 times minus 2 gives us 4. We need the sum as minus 5. So minus 1 times minus 4, that gives 4. Also gives us the sum of minus 5, which is minus 1 plus minus 4 gives us minus 5. So we can split the middle term using that. We have 2x squared minus x minus 4x plus 2 equals 0. So we can take x as common factor, and we get 2x minus 1 plus, we can take 2 as a common factor, minus 2 as a common factor, and we get 2x minus 1 equals 0. So that's x minus 2 times 2x minus 1 equals 0. We can equate each of the factors to 0, and we get x minus 2 equals 0 and 2x minus 1 equals 0. That gives us x equals 2 by adding 2 to other side. And over here we can add 1 to both sides, and we get 2x equals 1. And we can divide 2 throughout the equation, and we get x equals 1 over 2. And they are the roots of our question. Next, let's do question 18. we have minus x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0. Over here, the product is minus 3 times minus 1, that's 3, and the sum is 4. The factors of 3 are 1 and 3, which gives us, on adding, it gives us 4. So we have minus x squared plus x plus 3x minus 3 equals 0. We can take minus x outside as a common factor for the first two terms. We get x minus 1. Plus we take 3 as a common factor outside for the second and for the third and fourth term. And we get 3 times x minus 1. And that's equal to 0. That gives us minus x plus 3 times x minus 1 equals 0. We can equate each of the factors to 0 and we get minus x plus 3 equals 0 and x minus 1 equals 0. This equation, we can subtract 3 from both sides. So we have minus x equals minus 3. And we can divide the whole equation by minus 1, which gives us x equals 3. Over here, we can add 1 to both sides and it gives us x equals 1. And these are the roots of our question.